All right, hey everyone, Christian here from CK Wraps. So today, here's a long-awaited video that a lot of you have been waiting for. We're gonna do the door jam on this vehicle right here. So first things first is you're most likely gonna wanna remove the door. We have the door off. Doesn't take too long for most cars. You can usually disconnect the wiring harness from the inside of the car and then you just have to undo the bolts. The part that's probably more difficult is lining it up, and you'll want a hand to remove the door because it's heavy and you're going to need some support under it. So having help to do that will be very important. So what we're doing here is there's a couple of different ways that I've seen door jams done. I've seen door jams done where we do them in one piece, which creates a lot of stretch in this area here, or we can do it in a separate piece. In this situation, the car is being wrapped in chrome. We're not doing the door jam in chrome because the amount of stretch that's going to be needed is going to actually damage the chrome. So it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to actually wrap the door jam in chrome. So we're doing it in gloss black. And black is one of those colors that when you open up your doors, you don't even notice it. So like dark blues, really dark grays, black for example, you don't really need to do the door jams on those kind of vehicles. But since we're going with such an opposite color here, we're doing a satin white gold chrome and the red, this customer would like the door jam done. So what I've done here is I've already set up my knifeless tape for this edge right here. The rest of it's very easy to cut because we're just going to cut in between the side skirt and the actual jam itself, and then we're going to wrap pretty much right up to this edge right here. You're going to really want to make sure that you're being very thorough in your preparation. So areas like this tend to build up a lot of dirt, grime, grease, especially near the hinges where they put a little extra grease so that we don't get any squeaking and stuff like that. So we're going to need to make sure we're prepping all this area very thoroughly. I have a compressor here ready to blow away all the contaminants because what's going to happen is there's particles inside the car, and when we remove the backing, it's going to draw those in. So we're going to try and blow most of those away. And as you can see here, we've got our measuring tape. So we've got a string measuring tape here, which makes it a lot easier to take a measurement of the actual door jam itself. Now we can go straight across, which would only be like 4 feet, 5 feet, and stretch it all in and save a bit of material, but there's a higher chance of it failing. So what I like to do is, of course, lay into the recess. So from end to end, we have about 90 inches. Now, I've already cut this piece of film up top here to over 90 inches, around 94 inches. And I just want to show you how we'll take the measurement though. And we're going to go a little bit past where there's a rubber seal that comes up to about here, so that covers that. And over there as well, we're going to be well beyond it. So, plus the film is probably going to stretch a little bit as we install it. We're using Avery Gloss Black. This is a great film for doing something like this because it contours very nicely and a lot easier than a lot of other films. So we're using Avery Gloss Black, no markings on the backing paper, it's blank, and it's easy to use gloss black. So we're going to use that. So let's get this out of the way and give it one more once over. And then we're going to get into wrapping the jam itself. Now if you guys find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, we have the other part of the door, the back section of the door to do. Please subscribe because then you'll see that. So let's get into this. All right, so I have my airline here. And we're going to go over this just one more time. You can never be too thorough. Get some isopropyl alcohol on your cloth. Isopropyl alcohol is a form of rubbing alcohol for those of you who are wondering what that is. And it just cleans and strips the surface really well. You can pick it up at Walmart, Walgreens, Shoppers Drug Mart, wherever. Any kind of grocery store or store that sells pharmaceuticals, that kind of stuff. So. But Publix sells it, all kinds of places sell it. So let's get into here and wipe this off. So what I've done here also is I've masked off, I've just put a little marking here with painter's tape. in order to put the seal back in here properly. So I know that I have to start the edge right here and then feed it in. That way we're not stretching it or running into problems where it's not exactly where it should be. So all you have to do is one side. It's going to line up once we get it to the other side. It should line up perfectly. Like I said, that's the hard part, is putting the actual door back and lining it up. So if you have knowledge of doing that, then you'll be good to go. All right. So let's just make sure we're good here. Once I'm done this, I'm going to take a compressor to it. So we don't have to go too crazy. Like, I mean, over here, we're not wrapping all this stuff because this is always going to be behind the door. It's more so when we open the door, we're not seeing all this red right here, all right? The top portion doesn't need to be done because there's an actual black trim piece that covers all the way up, all the way down to about here. So we don't need to do the top portion of the door. If we were to be doing the top portion of the door, then in that case, you may want to take one sheet and then stretch it in over top. Because to run a piece that's that long is going to be a little bit difficult if you're running it lengthwise. And you might get bunched up and stuff like that. So it's going to be a bit easier to do it as a sheet and then push it all in. But we're not doing that. We're going to do it as basically an inlay, a complete inlay. All right? So that's good. Let's do this. Okay. So we're going to start from one side to the other. We don't need to remove the entire backing paper itself. We're going to remove a bit at a time. So the main thing is getting this lined up. So we're going to kind of just drape it in there and get it where we need it. All right. Let's stick a magnet over on this side, and then we'll stick a magnet over on this side. All right, so I can come up a little bit higher over here. Make sure we're kind of in there. Stick a magnet, making sure that we're covering. I'm going to be wrapping this. I'm going to come down a little lower here. It's probably about right. All right, so we're going to start by removing the backing paper. I'm going to leave those magnets there. And we'll peel off a couple of feet. And we want to make sure that we're overlapping everything. And then we're going to start making contact somewhere in here, all right? That way we have some traction with the film. It's got some grab right now. We're not too worried about it lifting off as we remove some of the backing and start to position this. You're gonna probably want to use a wrap glove. So I have mine here, I haven't put it on yet. Will help, because a lot of this is going to be done using your fingers, all right? Since the squeegee's capability is pretty limited when it comes to doing areas like this, you're going to be doing most of this with your hands. Just getting some of this done in here. And it's just working it in, guys. I'm not really stretching the film right now. I'm just working it in. There's a bit of stretch, but nothing crazy. I'm trying to get this area done first. Basically we want to start at one end and work our way down. You can start in the middle if you like to. I prefer to start this side and work my way down. we can cut off the backing paper because it gets in the way as we go along. I'm just adding tension to the film, of course, as always, keeping the wrinkles away. Let's get some more of this backing paper off and come a little bit more in this way. We don't want to reposition the film too much because, like I said, there's a chance of drawing in contaminants, so we're just going to do a bit at a time and try not to reposition it too often. So there will be some stretch coming in down here. Not a big deal. The film can handle it, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going to start working it in a bit here first before we get higher up, because this will allow us to pull tension from the top area and the bottom area. So we don't have to stretch the film too much. Let's keep everything symmetrical here. Keep your heat gun nearby in case you get wrinkles. You're going to want to heat them out. Now to get in there, I'm going to use, it's a very tight corner, so I'm going to use my squeegee a little bit just to get in there really nicely. So I've worked the film into that sharper edge there. Now I'll work it out. High up as we need to go. So it's just about patience, guys. It's just taking your time, working the film in. It's not all that much more difficult than doing other parts of the car. They look complicated, they take time, especially when it comes to removing the doors and stuff like that. Like this, it all takes time. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera right now, but it's starting to take shape here. I'm going to be in your way a little bit. All right, so this is also, the advantages to this film is also a very forgiving film. So I couldn't, like doing this in chrome would be a pretty big process. It'd probably be a trial and error process. Potentially, we would fail a few times before getting it right. and maybe, like I said, not even possible at all to do in chrome. So I have seen door jambs done in chrome in pictures. What they look like in person, I have no idea. So. All right, so before I start laying this down, I want to come a little bit down more. Now that we're still flat here, it will be an easier time to start using the squeegee. Blade. Just trying to keep the film in line with everything that's going on here, because it does get a little wonky sometimes, so we have to keep an eye on that. So now we can probably start taking some of this down. This bottom edge doesn't go too far down. This is a bit of a relief cut right there, so that creates some relief over there and over here. Just working my way around these fun shapes here. I'm going to need to add a bit of heat. The heat will help, and me stretching over like this will help keep things symmetrical just for a moment until I start getting it caught up, and then I'm going to release the tension and lay in the rest of the film once I get to a certain point here. Starting to release it. And we can begin to lay in a little bit more. My goal right now is to get over the knifeless tape, which I am right there. So you notice that I didn't run the black right up to the edge here, because I'm going to be overlapping the satin white golds over top of the black. Now another reason why it's also good to do door jambs in 2 pieces is that this area is going to take a bit of a beating. If something gets damaged, we can easily replace it, we can remove it, and then redo it again. As opposed to being 1 piece, we're going to have to actually start cutting on the paint to remove it, and then redo the piece again, which is risky. So. Get it all tucked in down here. For another relief cut there. Use another one over here. Perfect. That will help me bring the rest of this film down. So again, this last bit, the last couple inches or so, I've just been laying the film in. Yes, we did add some stretch around this area right here, but not in the pocket, so across the flat edge and not in the pocket, and then I laid into the pocket and continued to lay in and out of the recess. Let's continue. That was probably the more difficult part of the whole thing, so we're gonna move over to the other side and get that going. We still have to work out all this here, but that's not a big deal. Continue to remove some more backing paper. I want to stick this up here somewhere. So we have tons of excess film down here. Better to have too much than too little, but you do kind of want to get it close without wasting too much film. I just cut it because this was about laying in and out was about a 13-inch span. I cut it about 15 inches or so, but obviously down here it's much more narrow, so we have a lot more excess film. my squeegee got hung up. So right now where I'm squeegeeing with my finger, it's all covered with the trim that goes in there. But obviously I'm going to go right to the edge, right on the inside, make it as thorough as possible. We'll do all that after, we'll get this down, all right? So we're going to need to probably stand up a little bit. Cut off some more of this backing paper. And then we can continue to kind of lay it in, and we'll just work out all the wrinkles as we go along. But I want to get this down, that way we're not drawing in contaminants, all right? And it's just working out all these wrinkles, just working it out as we go along. Obviously laying into here causes the film to get a little funny. We got a lot of tension here. We can start removing the tension. We can start removing the tension because I know that I'm not wrapping around the hinges here. Start getting some of this taken care of. And always look before you cut, making sure that we're covered. I need a relief cut here. Okay, helps. Let's continue to add a little heat and bring it around. Just going to put a relief cut here underneath the bracket. Continue to work it in a little bit more further into the gem. Like I said, this part over here is completely behind the door. If you wanted to get in here, you could remove these hinges. There's a couple more bolts. It really depends on what you want for your own car and or what your customer is willing to pay for. So we'll have full coverage of the door jamb when the door is open. All right. I'm just making sure everything's tucked in right up to the edge. Let's go in the rest of the way here. I'm just going to cut in the little recess I have here. Get that out of the way. So all of this is going to be covered with a plastic trim. Basically, I'm way above it. It only goes up to right here. Actually, right here. So we're above it, which is good. almost there. Probably got another 10-15 minutes or so, and then we'll be cutting out the whole thing, and you get to see what that looks like. So I'm just finishing off right now where the actual trim piece goes. I'm wrapping right underneath it, completely all the way up to the edge, the top edge of it, where it sits. Always make it as pretty as you can. I mean, it's not like anyone's ever going to look under there, but it's also a good test of your skill. Plus, you never know, someone might end up looking under there one day, and at least it'll look really good. They're like, wow, this part, I really took the time to go the extra. The trim piece will actually sit on here totally fine. The vinyl's so thin they won't even know that it's there. So alright guys, that is the door jamb. I'm going to fix up this little bit right here and then we're going to cut. Got to add a bit of heat. Just a few too many wrinkles. It's just a really hard bend to get anything in there. Alright. So areas that we would probably post heat would be a little bit in here, nothing crazy. There's not a lot of stretch going in here. Like I said, the stretch is coming across here and not bridging this recess here, because we laid into the recess, the stretch came across here, and then we laid into that recess. So I'm not even gonna post heat this. You can if you want to be sure. I'm very sure that this is going to be totally fine. I am, however, going to go over the edges right now. I want to make sure all this is down nicely. So let's get the fun stuff going. Let's get the knifeless going right here. Always double check before we do the cutting itself. That way we know we're fully covered. So my knifeless is up there. I'm going to remove my glove because I don't need this anymore. Let's get that piece out of the way. I'm going to go over the edge a little bit because there is the string that we have to, or sorry, the piece of tape that we have to pull out from under there, so which will end up lifting that edge, so we have to go over that edge. Lay this here. Just running the back of my blade on this edge, okay? This car is a Canadian car, so it does see winter, so we don't want to cut into the paint because that will obviously cause issues with rusting, and you know, the paint is basically to protect the car from rusting. So we'll have the vinyl over it, but if we cut through on the opposite side of the vinyl and cut the paint, then we're kind of doing more damage than good. This piece is out of the way. The bottom piece is going to take a bit more precision as far as cutting goes. We need to cut right in the crevice of that side skirt. So I'm going to grab a little flashlight, making sure that I'm cutting very precisely. Because it's gloss black and it's actually hard to see the recess. I'm going to put some relief there so I can see this better. Just getting the film a little flatter because it's bunched up and I can't see the edge enough. I want to see that edge. Out of the way. Alright, and then we just have to do this piece. Lift it off a bit and then cut it. Go right there. I don't want to cover the holes up where the trim piece goes, so I can see them when I have to screw it back on. Alright, so when we put this top trim piece back on, all this red will be covered. And then we're going to lay knifeless tape in here again before we do the rear quarter. And then we're going to overlap the black about 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. And we'll have complete coverage of the door jamb. That way we're not seeing any red at all. Alright? So just so you can see. We have to, this is just the edge where the trim goes back over. And the trim is about an inch or so. So it goes right to this edge right here. So not a big deal. We have nice straight lines. The trim piece again comes down to about here. So we're fully covered all this. And that would be how you do the inner door jamb. The way I would do it. So now you guys have a video, something to relate to. That way you can see and use it as an example to do your own vehicle or customers of yours. And that's it. We'll stick the door back on. We're gonna wrap the other, on the back side of the door, we're gonna wrap that off of the car as well. So we're gonna wrap that while the door is off the car. A little bit easier as opposed to laying down on the ground and getting underneath it. You can do it with it on, not a big deal. So we're gonna do a video of that. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you wanna see the next one, hit subscribe, guys. Thank you, take care.